Here's the video of Marcus Garvey and the W.E.B. Dubois and the NAACP going after Marcus Garvey. He exposed that shit, y'all. The Black Caucus, better known as the Boule, went against Marcus Garvey, y'all. Let's listen to what Garvey had to say. I had to go get the facts for y'all.
Why would you want to stand up to a great...
Let's go.
Mr. Garvey, why would you want to stand up to a great republic like America?
We're not fighting America. We're not fighting this great government.
Then what are you doing?
We're fighting hypocrisy and lies. And this we're going to fight until the bitter end. As we went along, I realized it was impossible for me to escape the traps that were being laid out by the press, rival organizations, personal enemies, foreign...
Like they used the press to weaponize the people's way. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did with Donald Trump, the press. Fake news, y'all. They did the same shit to Garvey, y'all. Facts. The same shit they did to Trump, they did to Garvey, y'all.
Governments who were interested in me being convicted.
From the NAACP says, and I quote, Garvey must go.
And NAACP said, Garvey must go. Niggas, once again, right? See? But I told y'all who founded the NAACP, it was white folks. And black folks joined along that shit. Know y'all history, ladies and gentlemen. Know y'all history.
Which is why J. Edgar Hoover has trumped up these charges against me.
When they get rid of you, then what?
This is only the first Marcus Garvey. There will be other cubs in the fold. The National Association for the Advancement of of colored people and others who have combined to fight the UNIA are going to be disappointed. That they cannot harm Marcus Garvey. Not Judge Mack, not J. Edgar Hoover, not W.E.B. Dubois and his Blue Vein Society, nobody.
Garvey suggested that Dubois was more of a white man than a Negro, and even called into question the sincerity of Dubois' commitment to black issues, labeling him only a professional Negro. In Garvey's words,
"Where did he get this aristocracy from? He picked it up on the streets of Great Barrington, Massachusetts. He has been trying to be everything but a Negro. Sometimes we hear he is a Frenchman, and another time he is Dutch, and when it is convenient, he is a Negro. Anything that is black to him is ugly, is hideous, is monstrous. And this is why in 1917 he had but the lightest of colored people in his office. When one could hardly tell whether it was a white show or a colored vaudeville he was running at Fifth Avenue."
Now let's get into Marcus Garvey. If Dubois represented the refined Negro, Garvey portrayed himself as more associated with the dark-skinned masses, the blue-collar, everyday men and women in the Americas. When Marcus Garvey came to the U.S. from Jamaica, he carried a message that resonated powerfully with African Americans. He arrived at a time when the NAACP's efforts weren't yet backed by federal laws. The Ku Klux Klan was resurging, and despite the high hopes from World War I, democracy still hadn't delivered for Black Americans. On top of that, a surge in violence against blacks created a perfect storm that made Garvey's ideas especially...
And where was these Negroes from the NAACP and W.E.B. Dubois when all this was taking place, ladies and gentlemen? Huh? What was they in the back room doing snacks and shit while the motherfuckers was burning down Black Wall Street and all types of shit?
Appealing. Garvey's version of Pan-Africanism wasn't just about education and intellectual and cultural development. It was about taking back Africa from colonial powers, which he saw as reclaiming a lost paradise. His movement gave hope to many average middle-class men and women who felt let down by America's promises. Garvey's also took a different route compared to Dubois's beliefs on the topic of race purity. Garvey saw the issue of race as black and white, literally. He viewed mixed-race individuals, particularly those conscious of their caste, as intellectual traitors and enemies who looked down on the poorer black masses.
Facts.
I believe that white men should be white, yellow men should be yellow, and black men should be black in the great panorama of races, until each and every race by its own initiative lifts itself up to the common standard of humanity, so as to compel the respect and appreciation of all.
This set him apart from Dubois, but it also alienated many people who just couldn't relate and thought he was forcing his Jamaican ways of thinking about race onto the American context where it just didn't belong. Garvey referred to his followers as fellow men of the Negro race, creating a unified identity. His movement included distinct roles for both men and women, with women having the opportunity to serve in the dignified Black Cross nurses and men being invited to join the ranks of the Great African Army or the Universal Motor Corps. Garvey's ideas caught the close attention of European governments. His message struck a chord with black population.
They got scared, so they hired them niggas, them old house niggas, to go after him. W.E.B, Dubois, and then NAACP, y'all. Facts, y'all. They go to facts right here. Y'all that say, oh, he don't know what he talking about. W.E.B, Dubois, and Marcus Garvey never had a fallout. If you knew your history, you knew they had most definitely had something going on amongst each other. You understand me? Know your history, ladies and gentlemen. Know your history.
Worldwide, and as Garveyism evolved into structured programs aiming for Pan-African unity, it raised concerns among colonial powers. The Universal Negro Improvement Association, aka the UNIA, established by Garvey in Kingston, Jamaica, aimed to empower blacks through education and economics. The UNIA had a business-like structure, emphasizing both mutual aid and economic.
Can't have them niggas thinking like that. We gotta get these niggas in the toolbox. We gotta bring these niggas out the toolbox and sabotage that shit. And they always known to do that, yo. They use these niggas, the Black Caucus, the NAACP, the Boule. They use these niggas, y'all. These niggas ain't here for us.
Empowerment. Members paid 35 cents monthly dues. 5 cents went to the parent organization, and 30 cents went to the local division. This strategy helped ensure a sense of security among members, something Garvey believed was a fundamental need. The Black Star Line Corporation, though it ultimately failed, was perhaps the most ambitious venture. In just its first year, it raised $610,860 through the sale of stocks and subscriptions. This investment allowed for the purchase of 3 steamships in 1921, after which Garvey embarked on a significant tour of the West Indies and Central America. Marcus Garvey was skilled at communicating in a way that resonated with the individuals who felt marginalized by society. He understood the psychological impact of oppression and tried to counteract it by emphasizing the greatness of African history and the potential for a bright future. Critics saw his grand visions of African empires and the celebration of African identity as distractions from the more immediate issues facing Black communities. They said that while these stories uplifted people's spirits, they did not provide a pathway to improving their social, political, and economic conditions. Just like Marcus Garvey criticized W.E.B. Dubois, Dubois criticized Marcus Garvey. He thought Garvey was responsible for bringing over the divisive issue of colorism between Black and mulatto people from Jamaica to the U.S. He also felt Garvey was not even close to being diplomatic enough with the British, who were important for international business. He believed Garvey caused problems with Liberia, a nation Dubois felt was important for African American progress. He saw Garvey as antagonistic towards the NAACP, an organization that Dubois was closely associated with. Lastly, he questioned Garvey's unrealistic claims about African Americans conquering Africa and doubted Garvey's ability to manage businesses effectively. Finally, he addressed Garvey's public criticism of his mixed-race background and light skin by suggesting that Marcus Garvey was just internally hurt because he had been teased and bullied by white people, not because he had any real issue against mixed-race people.
All his life, whites have laughed and sneered at him and torn his soul. All his life he has hated the half-whites who, rejecting their darker blood, have gloried in their pale shame.
At the end of the day, Dubois and Garvey both stood for similar ideals. The core of it was that they wanted to see the black peoples of the world, from the Americas to the mainland and everything in between, benefit from the unity of Pan-Africanism.
The February 12th date is cited as the founding date. This meeting was the Niagara Movement Conference held in New York City at the Henry Street Settlement House, co-founded by Lillian Wald. More than 40 individuals attended and established the National Negro Committee. Dubois organized and presided over the event. Ida B. Wells Barnett presented the history of lynching in the United States. Members chose the organization's name, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
And what advancement has colored people received, ladies and gentlemen? Huh? Bunch of house niggas in there turning the other cheek. That's what we get, taking crumbs off the plate. NAACP founding attendance. Who was there? Who up there? Bunch of white men, like I said, bunch of white men, and I ain't biased, but a bunch of white men and white ladies started this shit, y'all. And them niggas just joined along. W.E.B, Dubois, Ida B. Wells, you know the house niggas.
Conference attendees also included Archibald Grimke, Mary Church Terrell, Bishop Alexander Walters, Florence Kelly, a social reformer and friend of Dubois, Oswald Garrison Villard, and Charles Edward Russell, a renowned muckraker and close friend of Wally. Russell helped plan the NAACP and had served as acting chairman of the National Negro Committee.
You hear that? God damn it. Russell did what?
And Charles Edward Russell.
What Russell do, y'all?
Renowned muckraker.
What Charles Edward Russell do, y'all?
Russell helped plan the NAACP.
Oh, he helped plan it, huh?
Served as acting chairman.
And he served
as
acting chairman of the Negro Committee. A white man.
First officers.
First officers.
The larger conference resulted in a more diverse organization where the leadership was predominantly white.
Look,
Warfield
white.
Storr,
God damn it.
a white attorney
Look
from
at
a
that.
Boston abolitionist family, served as the national president from its founding in 1915. Story had consistently and aggressively championed civil rights, not only for blacks, but also for Native Americans and immigrants. Chairman of the executive committee was William English Rawlings. Treasurer was John Elmer Moore Holland,
White
who
man.
was a prominent
Like Garvey was
New York
saying.
Republican businessman.
God damn it.
An editor at the New York
W.E.B. Du Bois was nothing but another Barack Obama. Blackface with white guts, God damn it.
Civil rights activities. Bill Holland was criticized for these donations and was soon removed from the board of several corporations. His response? He expanded his funding of civil rights. Dispersing treasurer Oswald Garrison Villard was publisher of the New York Evening Post and The Nation.
They controlled that shit, yeah.
Of a railroad tycoon.
They controlled them Negroes.
Grandson of abolitionist William Lord Garrison. He used his fortune to promote liberal causes and Negro uplift. Villard originally supported Booker T. Washington, believing education was the solution to the Negro problem. But the Brownville affair and Atlanta riot convinced him of the need for a more militant strategy. Villard funded the NAACP's budget and provided free office space in the Evening Post building. He resigned as NAACP chairman in 1914, but
Wow.
remained a board member until his death in 1949. Executive Secretary Francis Blascoer was a settlement worker, served as the NAACP's first secretary from February
All white men,
1910
man.
to March 1911.
All white men, man.
She researched and wrote about the education of black school children in New York. Blascoer traveled to South Carolina to meet with King Franklin.
We ain't biased. We just pointing out the facts. That's all we doing. We ain't biased. We pointing out the facts about these Negroes, man. They always been house Negroes, man.
She persuaded
Always getting the battery put in their back by their slave master, Mr. Charlie.
Sign over
Them
power of attorney to the NAACP.
NAACP founding officers we're looking at, yeah?
White attorneys, Claude E. Sawyer, and
That's why they went against Marcus Garvey.
to
See that?
represent
See, now you heard that.
for the Supreme Court, procuring a pardon. W.E.B. Dubois was director of publicity and research.
That's it. That's the
Du
only
Bois
title that nigga had.
continued to play a pivotal leadership role.
Should have been
in
the president, shouldn't he?
organization, serving as editor of the association's magazine, The Crisis, which reached a circulation of more than 30,000. First Constitution and Bylaws. In 1911,
Mr.
Alfred E. Pillsbury, former Massachusetts Attorney General and nephew of abolitionist Parker Pillsbury, drafted the NAACP's first Constitution and Bylaws, the Spingarn Medal. In January 1911, the NAACP organized its first branch in Harlem, New York, with the help of Joel Spingarn, who persuaded
Joel
his brother
Spingarn. There you go, right
and
there, yo.
his law partner, Charles A. Steuben.
Can't make this shit up, y'all.
They established a vigilance committee, which became the National Legal Committee, to deal with, quote, injustice in the courts as it affected the Negro. Arthur worked pro bono because the NAACP could not afford to hire attorneys
You heard
on
that?
a regular basis,
You heard
and
that?
was often able to convince other prominent attorneys to volunteer their services.
That's what they did to
Arthur
Marcus Garvey,
served
yeah.
as the chairman of the National Legal Committee until 1939 and as NAACP president from 1939
Damn.
to 1966.
Damn.
In 1913, Joel Spingarn embarked on the new abolition tours to build the NAACP's membership. Traveling across the United States, he was struck by the negative stereotyping of blacks in newspapers. To
course.
counteract this misperception, he established the Spingarn Medal, a gold medal to be awarded annually for the highest achievement by an American Negro. The medal's
Wow.
purpose was twofold. First, to inform the nation
They gave them niggas
of
a
the
medal.
significant contribution.
They gave them niggas a medal. Them niggas. That's what you call a crumb off the plate, god damn it. Give them a gold medal. They'll turn the other cheek for it.
Of its black citizens, and second, to foster race pride and stimulate the ambition of black youth. The mission of the NAACP: ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of all citizens, achieve equality of rights, and eliminate race prejudice among the citizens
mission,
of
y'all.
the United States.
Here's the mission, y'all.
Remove all barriers of racial
Let
discrimination
me ask the
through
question.
democratic.
It's their mission, y'all. We know about the political, because it's a bunch of house niggas inside the house that's still turning the other cheek. Right?
Processes. Seek enactment and enforcement of federal, state, and local laws securing civil rights. Inform the public of the adverse effects of racial discrimination and to seek its elimination. Educate everyone on their constitutional rights and take all lawful action to secure the exercise of those rights and to take any other lawful action in furtherance of these objectives.